in jobs and in just regular schmuck jobs even that they can't get because, oh, now you're a felon, oh, now you got a drug charge, oh, blah 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 blah, now you're on probation. Well, we can't have that around the workplace, and it's insane. We're going to look back on this period of human history and be shaking our heads at it the same way we did at the era of really direct brutal slavery that we had in the United States. Of course, now we have a different kind of slavery, wage slavery, tax slavery, and it's similar, but it's not on the same scale. But when we really see, we can step back and see the amount of value that was sitting on the table for humanity that we just back to Phil lost.
Quickly, because we're almost out of time, but I will add that the many times I've been actually jailed for my protesting, the number one thing that guys are there with me for is because they got pulled over for some minor traffic violation, and they owe money on child support. So you're taking guys who could be working and then throwing them in jail so they can't be working because they didn't work, and it's just a crazy cycle.
Yeah.
Here's Phil.
Well, thanks for joining us tonight, Adam. We're running a little bit long, and I really appreciate your time. We've got about a minute till our hard stop, so why don't you tell everyone who's listening where they can reach you, where they can follow your presidential campaign, and where they can get access to all the magnificent content that you've created.
Thanks. I really appreciate the opportunity for a shameless plug here. Otherwise, what would be the point, right? Yeah, so my main website is thefreedomline.com. If you can remember that, you can find everywhere else I'm at on the internet, all the social media. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Love all those platforms, or at least what we're able to do on them, if not the platforms themselves. And I've got a YouTube channel, and oh my God, I'm started on YouTube, but I have 57 million views there, and I'm in kind of a slump right now, but I'm about to get back into regular production. I'm really excited about
Fantastic, Adam. Thanks so much for joining us.
You can find the campaign page.
You can
TheFreedomLine.com.
Soon. You're listening to The Free People Show at freepeopleshow.com. We'll be back in 2 minutes with Pete Augelli talking about all things Libertarian Party Wisconsin. Thanks again to Adam Kokesh. We'll see you all after the break. $6%? 7%? That's a lot of money. I might as well just do it myself. Well, that might be true, if a lot of that money you're paying a real estate broker is going toward outdated methods, unnecessary fancy offices, and overpaying executives for a lifetime of service. But you don't need to go that route. Silver Compass Realty is a full-service real estate brokerage serving all of South Central Wisconsin, and the commission is negotiable. Silver Compass will explain exactly what they're going to do to help you buy or sell a home, how that will help you reach your goals, and stand right beside you every step of the way. They want to be your broker, your expert, even when you're not in the middle of a transaction. Silver Compass Realty, helping you find your way home. Contact them today at silvercompassrealty.com or call 608-361-8608. Silver Compass Realty, helping you find your way home.
Would you like to experience being one of the free people who produce their own meat and eggs? PurelyPoultry.com has both the chickens and supplies you need to raise your own poultry.
Would you like pets who produce eggs you can barter with? Your own source of clean meat?
A swan on your pond to make your home strikingly beautiful?
How about some pheasants and quail roaming in your woods for enjoyment? If so, check out PurelyPoultry.com.
Burger House 41 is open at 1860 West Mason in Green Bay. You're invited to indulge in one of life's simplest pleasures, a great burger. We're grilling up 15 fresh signature burgers and have over 30 craft beers for the perfect pairing. Experience Wisconsin's best flavors, including white cheddar cheese curds, a variety of specialty sandwiches, milkshakes, and gourmet frozen custard. Burger House 41 at 1860 West Mason is open at 11 a.m. daily. Taste Wisconsin. Taste amazing.
Welcome back to the Free People Show at freepeopleshow.com. We are scrambling to realign ourselves after our magnificent visit from Adam Kokesh. We're very appreciative of that, for him joining us. And now we have another magnificent guest, my dear friend Pete Augelli, who is the secretary of the Libertarian Party of Dane County, who writes about liberty, who is an engineer, and who is also running for vice chair of the Libertarian Party of Wisconsin. Thanks for joining us, Pete.
Thanks, Phil.
So you've got, I assume you have, sort of a vision for what you'd like to happen at LPWI. I mean, you've been involved for a few years now. You know, you've seen the good and the bad at the state level, at the county level. What do you really want to see? Why are you running, and what do you really want to see happen over the course of the next 2 years?
Yeah, so my history with LP Wisconsin is pretty short in its tenure. I think I started 3-4 years ago, right out of college, basically. My brother got me involved. But
some excuse your brother got you involved.
Yeah, I know, right?
So it's all John's fault.
It's all John's fault. He was, yep, leading me astray. But through my time there, you know, one of the big things, and I see this with a lot of organizations, is really a struggle for outreach. We get that a lot, especially as we transition into the millennials becoming a major player, both economically, politically, and being members of various other organizations like United Way and the Freemasons. They have that same struggle.
So when we talked about, and I've mentioned this, and I know other people who are involved in LP Wisconsin have brought this up, fundraising. And we had a brief conversation about it. I know that you and Patrick have talked about it a little bit, but wouldn't you agree that it's essential that in order for the Libertarian Party, and I got another topic to touch on about fundraising in a second, but the state party to be a mature nonprofit organization trying to accomplish its goals, that not only does there need to be fundraising in terms of dues and events and things like that, but major gifts as well?
I agree, yes. That is a major hurdle to a lot of what we do, is we don't have major financial backing. And we also don't, because of that, it's very hard for us to do outreach. It's very hard for us to effectively run campaigns. I know your campaign was very effective, but you were doing a lot of it on your own time. It's one person, a lot of your own money. You had some of us gave you our time or a little bit of money, but not a lot of overhead or really a way to get out and experiment and try more expensive.
You're absolutely right. And one of the things that's come up, Nick Sarwark's coming to speak. Is the main speaker, the keynote speaker at the Libertarian Party of Wisconsin convention. He'll speak on Saturday night. But in the process of arranging his visit, one of the things that the National Committee is doing is getting in contact with donors, people who live wherever Nick and Wes, the executive director, travel to. They're looking for people that have given money, sometimes years ago, to the Libertarian Party nationally, making contact with them and arranging meetings. So I'm picking up Nick from the airport tomorrow night or tomorrow afternoon. We're making a stop in DeForest for a gentleman who gave a significant amount of money to the Libertarian Party National Committee a few years ago, who also happens to be the president of the National Motorists Association, which is a somewhat, at least maybe I'm making assumptions, a libertarian-ish organization in that they represent motorists, sometimes in opposition to what government tries to do to motorists. But it was, a little bit illuminating to think, that we're the Libertarian Party of Wisconsin. We should know about people in our state. We should know about libertarians in our state, and there are at least 10 or 12 people who've given money nationally who we're not even aware of as a state party. And that's, I think you'd agree, that's we need to do something about that.
Yep. Well, yeah, and this kind of gets into, the Libertarian Party, when we talk about the state affiliate and the national, and even when we talk about our like Dane County. And again, I go back to organizations, even business. What I do, you mentioned I was an engineer. Mm-hmm. What I do is lean manufacturing. We have a principle there it's called catch ball.
Catch ball?
Catch ball.
Like throw the ball and somebody catches it? Catch ball?
Yeah, what I like about lean is it's very storyteller-esque. It uses colloquialisms and things to make things very relatable.
Cool.
But what we get there is what many organizations really fail to do. Either have two different ways. You have the mentality of do what I tell you now, and there's I have really great people, I'll get out of the way and let them do their own thing.
Sure.
What you get with the first is people where you don't get a lot of innovation. This is government, right?
Right.
Not a lot of innovation. Usually ends up failing, being very costly long term, especially the larger the organization gets.
Morale's bad, productivity's down, a lot of turnover, unless you give them a big pension, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. Usually, business, government, that principle, you get the same outcome.
Right.
But neither is completely standing out of the way. And I'll make the distinction here. Government is different, but with an organization, you don't want to stand completely out of the way.
Right.
The reason is because an organization has a specific goal. That's the difference between an organization and a government. You have a specific thing that you want to achieve. For us, it's getting people elected, espousing libertarian principles.
Right.
So what we need is that ability to link the various levels of our organization. So this national should support the state should support the affiliates. You don't want to overbear. You want to let each organization run itself, but give it a place to point itself, a way to go in a direction and resources.
That's absolutely beautiful, and it's something that I experienced firsthand as a candidate for the Senate. One of the things we started off talking about a year ago when I decided to run, and Andy and John Arndt and Jason Liebeck decided to run for Congress, and Jason and George and Matt decided to run for state assembly. It's like we should really work together and leverage each other, our efforts, so that we're not all knocking on the same doors, or and that we're not working at cross purposes, that we're making things efficient, because we're all trying to, in essence, at least for the person, trying to accomplish the same thing. Now that didn't work as well as I wanted it to, but that, I think, is the essence of what you're saying, is everyone has a certain sphere of influence or a certain target that they're trying to engage with, but in the end, we're trying to spread liberty and help people be more free. So the more organized we can be, even though libertarians don't always like being organized, but the more organized we can be in our efforts to address the political sphere, then that's better for everybody.
Yeah, I would agree. And, the other thing there, too, is we get into some of these talks. I know LP Wisconsin, we get into these types of debates all the time, which is, to me, if you're part of a party, so if I'm a vice chair or Phil being a chair, we're going to put ourselves within certain restraints to achieve the goals of the members, the libertarianism at large, which is a little bit different, I would think, than obviously any libertarian, any citizen should be allowed to pursue their own ends as they see fit.
Right. We've seen that conflict with people that have done things that, as or representing the party, intentionally or inadvertently representing the party, and doing things, and then the rationale is, I'm a libertarian, I should be able to do this. They fall back on the non-aggression principle, which is the bedrock principle for people vis-a-vis government and each other. But it's almost like you have to set aside some libertarianism personally in order to be part of an organization that's then trying to advance and work in the political sphere, which is sort of, it's not contradictory, but it's difficult to conceive of acting in both of those ways in the same, in your life.
Well, yeah, and actually, I got into a discussion on, it was the Libertarian USA unofficial Facebook group. They're fun. They're fun.
They are fun.
Yeah.
Until they go off the rails.
You and I, Phil, we're both very devout Christians as well. Mm-hmm. So because somebody had posed the question, don't you see Christianity as being in conflict with libertarianism, being of free will and being able to choose what you do? And I said, well, not necessarily, because as a libertarian, we're going to go into different spheres, and those spheres we're going to impose boundaries on ourselves. If I go out into public, I tend to try and hold the door open for people. I tend to try and chew with my mouth closed. I tend to try and not swear. These things that, technically I have every right to do.
Right.
But I realize that it just makes me a better person, and I get a better outcome in society.
A gentleman and a Christian.
I try to be.
But yeah, I get the same question too. And I've said from the beginning, that I don't believe Christianity and libertarianism are in conflict at all. As a matter of fact, they're very complementary in very important ways. You mentioned free will, but also in the way that we deal with one another and who we're responsible to. There's no way that in Christianity that you can be saved as a group or that you can be condemned as a group. It's all about personal responsibility and accountability. In a political sense, it's to each other. And property rights and those sorts of things. It's different in religion, of course, but to me, I have no conflict whatsoever. So we're going to head to break. We're going to keep you around for one more segment. Pete, thanks for staying with us. You're listening to The Free People Show at freepeopleshow.com with guest Pete Augelli, who is running for vice chair of the Libertarian Party of Wisconsin. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
Actually, in the South Park movie,